Welcome back to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast. Today, geographically, we're here in Rogers, Arkansas at the Marquee Collection Studios. There's still some available, kind of upper 300s to mid 400s. So if you're looking for a really cool spot, cars, coffee, cool clubhouse, come here, get in contact with Brandon or I, and we'll represent you on helping to buy one of these things. This episode is sponsored by TCS Management. Landlords, are you tired of late rent, surprise repair bills, and wasting hours on tenant calls? TCS Management is your full-service property management company here in Northwest Arkansas. They solve the headaches. Professional leasing and tenant screening to reduce vacancy and risk. Target marketing to fill units fast. 24/7, 365 maintenance to stop small issues from becoming big bills. Reliable rent collection and eviction coordination when needed. Plus transparent financial reporting, vendor management, and capital projection oversight. Protect your investment and reclaim your time. Visit tcsmgtar.com. That's tcsmgtar.com. Or call 888-TCS-MGT-5. Today, we have Mark Martin, legendary NASCAR driver with us, over 800 career races, correct? And then 40 wins. Is that right?
NASCAR starts, 860 or so, and wow. 40 wins in the Cup Series, and 96 in the top three divisions.
That's incredible.
Let's go.
Your history and background is incredible. But what we're really going to dive in today is the level of discipline, consistency, and performance that translate into business and investing. I want to jump in real quick and just go deep below the surface. When you look at high-level performers, whether it's racing, business, or investing, what do you think separates the ones who are miserable from the ones that actually enjoy life?
I think it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's how you're driven and how you're wired.
Yeah.
I was not wired. Had no interest in enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
I only had interest in winning, and I regret that because I think I could have had more fun and still got the result, but I was afraid that, I had to be a taskmaster. And so I really think it's a mindset. I've got some friends that are very successful in the, doing the same thing in racing, and had a blast doing it. Now I look back and it was the best of times, but I sure didn't realize it at the time.
What age do you think you got it? Do you feel like it's always a progression, but do you feel like there was a time where you're like, you know what, I'm actually present in the moment now?
2007, when I stepped back from full time, chasing NASCAR championship, was such a grind. I finished second 5 times and never won it. And I allowed that quest to, pretty much consume me and suck all the joy out of it. So when I went back to part-time, I found the joy in racing again, in my love, and I really had a good time. Those last 6 or 8 years I raced.
Incredible. Do you see, from all the success you've had, yes, in NASCAR, but business as well, do you see miserable people all the time with a lot of success?
No, not really.
Not as much. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was miserable, but I would certainly say that I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have. Like when I would win a race and we'd be doing the photo shoots and everything in Victory Lane, I wasn't soaking that in. I was worrying about how are we going to do this next Sunday. And then I was hurrying through the press, and all that stuff afterwards so that I could get home, see my family, and get, grinding
go towards
again.
The next thing.
Training and testing and appearances and all that stuff is very consuming. Most people that are successful think about what they're doing probably all the time. No athletes. If you make it to the very top level in any kind of athletic, you pretty much think about what you're doing all the time. And you think about the game, and you train and you grind and you do the promotions and all the things that makes the money machine, work, and
every fiber of your being towards it. I know Brandon and I know Brian is well in business, but Brandon and I played college athletics, so 4 years each, and we understand what it takes. I mean, of course, not at the highest level, but it was a grind.
Mark, do you think, I mean, being around some of the other greats in your industry and maybe some others, do you feel like those are common traits of just kind of almost that's all they think about, that they're consumed in it, that's all, you know, is that kind of a common trait you think of people that are great in their industry?
The ones I've been around, the greats were all in.
Yeah.
All in.
Plan A.
You know, and I assume from the studying and watching of other, you know, professional athletes that really excel in their field, you know, they're pretty much all in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mentioned you had some regret about that. You're happy where you are today, but do you think if you would have, say you did have no regrets and enjoyed it a little bit more, do you think you still would have had 80 wins and 96 top 3 finishes? Or what's your thoughts on, would I have maybe 1 or 2 let? Would it be significantly different? I'm interested in that.
Great question.
Yeah.
During the time, I was afraid not.
Yeah.
But looking back, I think I surely could have, you know, done both.
Yeah.
I could have enjoyed it more. I had other drivers that teased me about, you know, being grouchy and whatever. I was only happy when we won.
Yeah.
And as soon as we won, that one was over. Instead of enjoying it till the next race, no, I mean, we had to start grinding on the next race right then.
Hyper focus. Right before we started the podcast, Mark was coming in here with a mission. You know, he was getting to work on one of these car collections, and you can tell you have that, like, you know, very like
laser focused.
Yep. I think that's speaking of traits, Brandon.
Honorable trait.
It's a curse too. I mean, you know, it served me well.
Yeah.
It really did. But, you know, it is irritating, you know, to my family and my close friends.
I know. Yeah. I think you can, like you said, your family and even probably people working around high performers and guys that think like that, you know, it's, I mean, not everybody can understand the way that you are and the way that you think. And so, yeah, like you said, there's good and bad to it. But I mean, to be at a great level, I think it requires some level of that at least.
I think it takes, you have to go through that grind to look back though and realize, okay, maybe I was grinding too hard. You know, I think some people try to have this balance too early. Right? So it's like they don't get ever really good at one thing because they're trying to be balanced. So I think there's
a gray area,
and it's I don't know if it's an art or a science, you know, but like, you know, the earlier you find that out, I think the better probably to your enjoyment.
Mark, what disciplines do you feel like, you know, you learned early in your NASCAR career that you think kind of carried over to business for you and future life?
Work ethic, but that started at the home.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were both grinders.
Yeah.
I mean, they work ethic and they always told me that I could do anything that I set my mind to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't set my mind to a whole lot, but what I did, you know, I definitely would grind on it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest thing. You know, one of the things that's not really in this story is that I had a really sharp rise from 15 years old to 23 years old. I made it from the dirt tracks here in Arkansas.
That was my next question.
To NASCAR. And just rocket ship. And then I fell flat on my face and lost everything, my entire career, and had to start all over again from ground zero. And so, and you know, it took about 6 or 8 years to get back, you know, to NASCAR. And that changed me in a lot of ways and probably made me certainly want to make hay while the sun was shining. Like when I was starting, first I was grinding to get back. And then once I got in NASCAR, I wanted to show everyone that, you know, I was here and I was here to stay. And so I think that the setback was really an asset to me.
Yeah.
Even though it was the worst time and period in my life, I think that it was good for it. It humbled me, which I needed, and it made me appreciate the opportunities that I got later in my career.
We can cover this real quick, but give us a quick maybe timeline of like how did you get started in NASCAR? Like what was that even like? And then walk us through up to that face flat and then beyond.
Well, my career started in the dirt tracks in Arkansas. The first 3 years I raced were dirt tracks in Arkansas. And then I started racing on pavement out of Batesville.
Yeah.
And I was traveling all over the Midwest to make the big races because we ran good enough that we wanted to be challenged by the very best in the nation. And like that first year, I won the National Short Track Championship, for example, and the American Speed Association ASA Rookie of the Year. And so the next year in 78 was my goal to chase that championship. And we won that championship. I was 19 years old, national championship. We won it 3 years in a row. And so it was time to go NASCAR racing. So we built, a NASCAR car, and I took my same little guys. I had, at that time in 1981, I had 3 full-time employees.
Yeah.
But I had all free stuff. I got free engines and free cars and free parts and everything. I didn't have a money sponsor, but I didn't have much overhead, so the purse would fuel me.
Right.
And I went and did 5 NASCAR races, and I sat on the pole twice and led 2 races and finished 3rd at Martinsville and 7th at Richmond, and thought, this is going to be just as easy as all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm racing against Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, David Pearson.
Yep.
And all these guys and Bobby Allison. And so it looked like it was going to be as easy. And so I just went in full time without being, really prepared. And so in 1982, I ran for Rookie of the Year, and I went broke by the end of the Daytona 500, the first race of the year. I was already broke, and I wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
And I ground it all the way out to the end of the year, and I was in massive debt, and I had to have an auction and sell everything that I owned to pay off my debt.
Yeah.
And start again from scratch.
And that was the face flat moment.
That was flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved back to Wisconsin, where, the racing hotbed for late model type racing was, and started my career over. It took me 3 years. Third year, I won the ASA championship again.
Yep.
For the 4th time.
So you would have been how old at that age? Mid-20s?
At 86, I was 27.
27 years old? Wow. Take us through, so from basically 27 on, you were in NASCAR for decades, correct?
Yeah, well, I actually got into NASCAR, the Cup Series, I was 29.
29, okay.
Yeah.
So upper 20s, in it for decades. What did it take to have such a long and profound career? I mean, maybe it doesn't happen without the face flat moment. There's something there that most people don't have for having such a long, outstanding career. What do you think are some of those factors?
Some of the factors were that I was in, my addiction was lifting weights.
Yeah.
And I was addicted to that. I gave up alcohol.
Yeah.
Quit drinking. I want to make my second chance at NASCAR stick. And so I trained like an animal at a time when most race car drivers weren't training. And I felt like that gave me an edge. And I was always a car guy.
Yeah.
So I knew a lot about the car itself.
Yeah.
So if you don't know anything about the car, your career is in the people that work on your car.
Yeah.
They
trust.
They hold your whole entire career in their hands. So if they produce, great. If they don't, you fail.
Yeah.
And I knew cars and could help with that.
Yeah.
Help guide the thing, so I was with a team that would allow me to have input in the direction of some of the hardware with the cars and the aerodynamics and whatnot.
Is that typical with most racers? Maybe in your time and then today. Do you think that's typical for the racer to really know the vehicle, the car?
It's not today, but it was then.
Yeah.
It was pretty typical. I mean, the greats, Rusty Wallace is, a great. He knew everything about his car. Alan Kowicki was a great. He knew everything. Davey Allison, had to work on his own stuff. Dale Earnhardt worked on his own stuff until, he got successful in Cup. Then when you get successful in Cup, you don't work on the cars anymore, but that doesn't mean you don't know what's going on with them.
For sure.
So Darrell Waltrip knew a lot about the cars. So that era, I'd say half the drivers knew a lot about their cars, and then half maybe not so much.
Yes.
I love the no drinking and fitness. I can attribute that. I stopped drinking 7 years ago, and just my real estate business blew up. The focus, you're a very focused person, but being in shape, it's one less. You have a lot more natural energy, a lot more focus. Drinking definitely produces a haze. I'm interested. So you had 3 employees, when you were early 20s,
Yes.
when you were first investing,
Yeah, that's huge.
Came back, had this, downfall, which I've seen a ton of super success, not like, people above average, it's like a steady Y curve, but the super successful, it's like they have this hyper, rise, and then they have a big drop off, and it's like, okay, I've tasted that, but now I need to dial in some things and refocus. So I'm interested in how you looked at it. It sounds like you were starting to look at that as a business in the beginning. You were already thinking about hiring employees. Did you have mentors along the way? Did those mentors change as you became more successful?
Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Mentor wise, yes, they were always. When I was racing dirt tracks, it wasn't Richard Petty. It was the best dirt track driver around.
Yeah.
And then when I, started racing pavement, Larry Phillips from Springfield, Missouri, and so it keeps stepping up. Darrell Waltrip took a liking to me, when I was first dipping my toe into NASCAR, and so did Bobby Allison. So they were never out of reach. Type people that took a liking to me and help me and all. So that was just kind of how I operated, and I was real lucky to be treated so respectful by so many at an early age. My racing success, when I was 20, I moved out of Batesville to Indiana, and only had 2 employees then. And it was me and 2 other guys. And, so I built my way all the way up into NASCAR, where we had probably 8 people to run the NASCAR circuit. And then when it all imploded, and I started over, I had 1 guy. It was me and 1 guy, and everybody else was volunteer help that would come in at night. So me and my Doug would come in, work all day on the car, and then work all night with the volunteer crew as well.
Shout out to Doug.
There was a lot of people that helped me along the way.
At Advantage Title and Escrow, we don't just close deals. We partner with realtors to protect their clients from contract to close. Because closing isn't just paperwork, it's people. We strive to educate, communicate, and safeguard every step of the process so your buyers and sellers feel confident, informed, and secure. Whether it's first home or forever one, we're with you every step of the way, doing our best to clear the path, catch the details, and keep the closing table as stress-free as possible. Advantage Title and Escrow, because your clients deserve more than just a closing.
I feel like there's a lot of respect for it. You use the word for downtown Rogers.
Gritty?
Grit. Yeah, grit. I feel like that's what you can definitely earn respect. It's like a young kid from Arkansas with a lot of grit and focus and working hard. I think people notice that. I love that strategy about your mentor. Your mentor can shift as you gain more success, and it's in a reachable status. So
I see it all the time in young professionals, and I've seen it in my life. I'll speak for me in itself, like undeserved. I don't deserve the kind of advice that I'm getting, and I'm like, I don't know why did God put this person in my life? Why are these people teaching me? And there's a lot of people listening in right now who probably most likely are in business. Would you encourage them to find somebody that they want to be like and try to follow them around like a lost puppy, or what's your word of advice to them? Because I see a lot of successful people get mentored by smarter people.
Well, first of all, the other side of that is, when you do become successful, I believe in paying it forward. So I do a lot of that. On my own. I see somebody I like, and I, try to promote them on social media, or maybe even get their phone number and give them a call and say, hey, this is a little piece of advice. So for me, that always just happened. I didn't necessarily, I guess I did. I went and I talked to different individuals, and there were certain ones that you gravitate to, that seem to gravitate. So
you kind of you sought out people, but also some people gravitated to you. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Yeah, I think it was just sort of a natural thing. You would have natural chemistry with this one and not that one. So I would talk to this driver, for example. There were certain drivers that I like to talk about racing and race cars and the tires and the different things. Racing is the same as any business. See, I worked with tons of Fortune 500 companies, and they used me in advertising and all this stuff, and I went to their meetings and stuff, and it's all the same. It's the same as racing. It's the same as racing business. You adapt those things, but it's the same principles. To be successful, you have to have those same principles. And so I felt like I learned a lot about, business just from the racing business.
Through that. And I'm kind of jumping ahead a little forward here, but walk us through just a quick synopsis of like your business life now. What does that look like? What have you done since NASCAR?
So when I first retired, I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was going to do, I was thinking I wanted to do some mentoring, and I had a deal lined up, and then I decided I didn't want to go through with that. I didn't do a whole lot for a while. I had already invested in car dealerships, the hometown Ford dealership and a Kia dealership and some of that stuff. I had a partner in it, Lance Landers, a partner, and he ran the business. I, just rode along. And so we built that up to 5 dealerships in a lot, but it wasn't really where my heart was. So I sold out to him. And but our museum's still there in Batesville, the Ford store. I got a dozen race cars, and probably most of those 96 trophies are there. And a lot of memorabilia and stuff from that. But what I do a lot of now is, and my son Matt helps me enormously, is a lot of merchandising and a lot of racing related things that, more retro, like what he did was retro apparel and merchandising and all that kind of stuff. And we're involved in a 5-year project that's just about to finish up, that is a extensive book on my life. My entire life. And it's taken 5 years to do it. There'll be photographs in there that no one's ever seen before. Matt spent so much time researching it, historically correct, and it's not just a book. It's a historical book. And it's of my whole life. So, that's in the, and we're in the middle of a 1.5 year restoration of my first win NASCAR car. And so that's, we got that going. I'm in the 2.5 year project of finishing up my shop here. So, a lot of these things take so long. And
that's a perfect piggyback to my next question, which is a lot of people want a lot of quick wins in business and in life. And what does it look like to build wealth over time? And what are some of those principles? Like, I see so many people, Brandon and I, like, how do I make $1 million like today? But it's not how it happens. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah. So, I never made more than what to eat until I got to NASCAR. That's where the money was. And I didn't even make any money there the first couple of years because, I signed whatever contract I got offered and building a team from scratch. So as soon as we started making some money, Arlene and I, my wife and I, are both very regimented. We got some drip stocks, dividend reinvestment stocks, and we started putting, every month we'd put some in those stocks, and we built that and we built that. And instead of buying, a personal airplane or a fancy motorhome or even a fancy house, we did that. And
Compound
early
interest.
on, we were very, and as I kept, making more money, we started getting a second home and a motorhome and private aircraft and those kind of things, but not first.
Right.
First it was all these, get all this foundation. And then by 1998, my goal was to be debt free.
Yeah.
And, but always do that regimented investing.
Yes.
And because there's no retirement in NASCAR, so many, people that are successful in sports wind up with nothing,
Yeah.
And I saw that. And I also saw my predecessors like Bobby Allison and some of these guys with not much in their late life. And that's because they didn't make the kind of money that we made.
Right.
So we better be very,
Smart.
Judicious with our money.
Mhm.
And we were, and we
Yes.
built that, and we built it over time, but we put that in front of all the comforts, creature comforts. It came first. And so, we have investments now that obviously do better for us than all our merchandising and whatnot. But we do have a lot of balls in the air. And, I think it's just really important to not, I saw some drivers come in that in the rookie year, they got a fancy motorhome, and next year they got a big jet bigger than my airplane, and I'd been there forever, and it's like, well, okay, but that's
We'll see
not
how that works out.
That's not how I do it. you know?
Don't increase your style of life directly correlated to your income. That's that delayed gratification.
So sitting in your seat right now, you would say compound interest works.
Definitely. Big time.
Yeah.
Mark, do you feel like your upbringing kind of was a part of the way that you think about money and finances? And, I'm sure when you were in the spotlight and you were kind of in the peak of your years in NASCAR, it was probably easy looking around to buy the bigger plane or to buy a plane or to buy a really nice house or, continue to, buy the toys and things like that. But do you think your upbringing maybe, or was it something that you learned over time? How you handle finances?
My mom and dad were both really, they were pieces of work for sure. They both got whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
But they didn't want everything.
Yeah.
And that's, I got what I wanted, but I wasn't one of those guys that wanted all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I never had a car. I was a race car driver, and I had a factory vehicle that was furnished to me. So I never had a Ferrari or any of the. I never had anything like that. I didn't have boats. I had tools. I had a motorhome that I stayed in at the racetrack. I had an aircraft that I used all week long. And to be able to do more stuff. But beyond and then we had a nice house, but we didn't want more. We were just careful with that. And so now at 67 years old, we're very comfortable without having to have a business itself support us.
Yeah.
How do you install that with your son? Like, I think it is every father's dream to be in business with their sons and their kids. How do you instill that? Your son is obviously going to have a lot more resources than you had growing up. How do you keep that same mindset with your son?
Matt is smart like his mother. Not smart like he's a lot smarter than I am. And that's good. He needs that. I'm successful because I grind, not because I'm all that smart. I just grind harder. And when I mess up, I fix it,
So he's working smarter.
And he thinks things through a lot better. It has been probably the highlight of my life to work with him on this book because he's always been into history since he was a little bitty kid. And he's a historian. And he didn't pay much attention to my racing when I raced because he thought that was just ho-hum, And now that he was the one that wanted to write this book, have this book, because he's really into that kind of thing, into Well, he started doing all this research, and now he knows way more about my career and all the details than I do. And it's so fun to share with him because he wants to know the stories. He says, you got to get that story in the book and you got to get this. And so we talk a lot more about that. And like he can look at a photo of me and say, that's 96, that's 94, and that's 93.
Wow.
Just like that from the patches on the uniform. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So he's studied all this. He's put so much into this book. And it is just, that in the merchandise that he's just real particular.
Yeah.
And he does get that from me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's almost over the top. And
it sounds like you're really proud of him. And
I'm extremely proud.
What I've heard from a few successful people, and Pastor Craig Groeschel on his leadership podcast has stated that kind of usually the first generation, yourself, will grind for it. They'll get it. Second generation saw the grind, so they know what it took, and so they uphold it. And then oftentimes it's generation 3 where they sometimes see it fall off. How do you stop generation 3 from falling off? What does your son have to do?
He's smarter than I am, honestly. Yeah. I see that third generation fall off quite often. Not always, but quite often.
Right.
I'm certainly not the case this time. And to be real honest with you, I didn't really know my great grandfather, but my grandfather was a piece of work. So, and my dad was extremely successful. He didn't have big wealth, but like I said before, if he wanted an airplane, he got it.
Yeah.
If he wanted a motorhome, he got it. If he wanted, he just didn't want too much.
Right.
But he ground.
Yeah.
He was a grinder big time. And that's how that's how I got started racing. If it wasn't for him, I would have never made it because, he was the one, he and Larry Shaw worked every night. They worked every day at their jobs and every night in the shop working on that race car. And I was 15 years old. I didn't know how to work on a race car yet. So,
wow.
The generations go back pretty far. And the good thing about Matt is that he, my wife is such a great compliment to me. We are not a whole lot alike. I mean, we do share values, but she is she sees things very differently than I do. And he has part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like she sees whole picture. I'm guessing here, but laser focus and she's seeing the whole thing. I love that.
She's a scope, you're the bullet.
Yeah.
So talk us about Northwest Arkansas. We're sitting here in one of your investments at the Marquee Car Collection, and you're living here. When did you move back to Northwest Arkansas? What was the reason for moving to Northwest Arkansas and staying here and investing in the community?
So we, when I retired, we moved back to Batesville. We had a home there, and we were there, 4 or 5 years, and about 4 years, and we got tired of that. And we fell in love with Montana, and so we moved out to Montana, and that was the summers there are heaven, and we were right there, Flathead Lake area, and right there by Glacier National Park, and it's just so gorgeous. But the winters are long, and even worse than that, you can escape the winters, but it's so far. And we don't fly anymore. We drive in the motorhome about everywhere we go. And after you do that about 10 times, 24 hours of driving, it gets old. And we're farther from our family. My mother and my sister live in Arkansas. We've got kids that live in, North Carolina and Tennessee, whatever. We just needed to be back here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you move here and how long?
We've been here a couple years now.
Couple years. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mark, tell us a little bit more about, I know we've talked a little bit about the Marquee and everything, but I'd love to hear, the type of folks that are purchasing units in here. Are they using them for offices? Are they using them to showcase their cars? Is it more of just kind of a, place that people can come and be a part of a community? I know it's going to be if you think about opportunities like this in Northwest Arkansas, there's nothing like it. So I think that's one of the cool parts about it. And you're in the as prime location as you can be here in Pinnacle. Yeah. So, but yeah, tell me more about kind of what type of folks that you see in here. Is it a place that can be an office, or a place for storage for cars, or a little bit about that?
So this formula is working fantastic in a lot of big, in Scottsdale and big cities where people don't have room to have a man cave at their house. And so this gets you an opportunity to get out of your house. And some of them are setting up with, the bar and, card table, whatever, play card, or whatever it is, store their cars, have an office, a getaway, a lounge. I mean, it can be all of those things, whatever it is that you really want it to be. But it gives you a chance to get out of your house. So, some of the people are retired, and some of the people are just doing this to store, they have a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Or they have really nice cars and they don't drive them a lot. I mean, some of these cars are really expensive and just drive ever occasionally.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it really is it can be finished out in any way you want with mezzanines and bars and, of course they're putting restrooms in it and cars and wash bays. Some of them have, can wash inside.
Wow.
Wash bays or it's just going to be a full service thing. I think when it's all finished, they're going to have on-site detailer for detailing your cars or whatever.
Yeah.
That'll be on-site. That's what they're talking about doing. And so, or you could set it up on subscription where once a week they come in and dust your vehicles or whatever. It's going to be an incredible place when it's all finished out and everybody gets their units built out, because the build outs of, there's only a few that are finished. Yeah. Most of them are in the process or haven't even started yet.
Yeah. Do you feel this is potentially great for networking as well? Owning something in here?
Like-minded people. It reminds me, I can see this, as it's very social.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love so that. Like-minded people that like cool cars.
Yeah. Especially once the middle house gets done, that'd be a great spot to have meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The clubhouse is going to be incredible.
They're going to have a gym too?
Yeah. They're going to have a gym in it. Yeah.
Hear that, Brandon?
Yeah, come on.
We're gonna transition into a fire round as we get to the end of this episode. Okay. So, Brian, would you hit them with some?
Yeah,
fire
these are going to be a quick round of 5 questions. Biggest mistake business owners make?
Getting over leveraged.
Yeah.
Most underrated trait for success?
Hard work.
Most overrated trait?
I think brains. You don't have to be smart to be successful.
Great answer. Good.
Best decision you've made in business?
Save my money early.
What still excites you today?
Having fun.
Yeah.
Anything that's fun.
Love it.
As we wrap up, if you were starting today, no racing background, just business or investing, what would you focus on first?
It would be a type of manual. I'm a hands-on, so probably my specialty is I'd probably go into the detailing.
Yeah.
Vehicle detailing, especially in Northwest Arkansas, because you have the clientele here that can afford and want it done, not just washed, but done, buffing and ceramic coating and, all that kind of thing. And we have some great people in this area already, but if I was, that comes natural to me.
You see an opportunity there.
Oh, yeah.
Mark, so pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you. Enjoyed it, guys.